students absolutely do not know how to get their priorities straight. Step one, create the idea. You don't do your homework before you practice. You practice, then you do your homework. Hi everyone, I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer. I have 3 pages of notes today, so we're going to jump right on in because our subject matter today is priorities and getting your priorities straight. This is something that I see in the studio on a daily basis that students absolutely do not know how to get their priorities straight. So we're going to discuss that today and see if we can't straighten some of that stuff out for you guys so that you can know exactly how you're supposed to keep your priorities straight. And then we have this plan in order for you to implement so that you can make sure that you always have the right priorities in the right place. Because so many times I see that you young singers, you don't know how to do that. And you also don't think about how to do that. So you sort of just sit back and you let somebody else tell you what your priorities are, but you don't know how to organize them. And really, in the end, nobody can push us into doing anything that we don't want to do unless we give them the opportunity to do that and the power to do that. So when you come to me and you say, I want to be a singer, I want a career in this field, then I am going to help you get your priorities straight. But I'm also going to emphasize you over and over and over again that you need to get those priorities straight, because more times than not, when a student comes in the studio, I didn't get to my practice this week because, but I want you to know something, because you didn't get to your practice this week, that is making you 1 week behind towards your goal. So if you wouldn't do that at school for a regular education class because you know you've got to pass that class, then you really don't need to be doing that for yourself and the things that you want for yourself. Because when you graduate high school, you want to be able to get into that school that you want to go to. You want to be able to get to that college. You want to be able to get that grade. You want to be able to be accepted to the level. And I'll tell you, it is highly competitive out there. It is very competitive, even at the smallest schools, because they only accept so many students into their program. So if you've got big dreams and big ideas, then you've got to make sure that your priorities are straight and right on. And you've got to make sure that you put them in order of importance. And that's important, and that's what we're going to talk today. So I've got 3 pages full of notes that we're going to go down and we're going to discuss today. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the definition of priorities in the first place. I looked it up, and according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, this is what the definition of priorities is: a thing that is regarded more important than another. So if you want a career in performance, then that's the thing that you need to make a priority over other things. That is what you've got to think about. And that is where you've got to place your goal and place your ideas and place your vision. And I don't care how old you are, this can start from the very beginning or when you're 16 or 18 or 25 or 45, but you've got to decide what is going to be your priority. And then the next thing you've got to put in order is what is most important for you to do. So sometimes you've got to flip your whole idea of what is important upside down in order to get to that part of the goal that you want to achieve. I see too many students coming in and out, waiting to the last minute to get a hold of the music and to understand what the is accepted on the college level in order for them to get into that program. And because they wait and they wait and they don't do the work to the end, then they're rushed and anxious, and you don't know if you're going to get it done or not. And that's certainly not the best way to make yourself relax, to relieve your anxiety, and to be assured that you're going to get into the school that you want to get in. And I want to add to that list interview skills. You also need to work on interview skills. And if you need somebody to help you with that, we can help you with that. But we also know some people that are actual interview coaches, and they can help you get ready for that interview, because the school is going to talk to you and interview you and get a sense of who you are, what you want, and how you can add to their program, and if you're going to fit into their program personality. So that's something that you've also got to make a priority. You can't just wing it, because when you do, you end up giving them and talking like you want to give them what they want to hear, rather than letting them know who you really are. And that is all extremely important when you are a singer wanting to go into a performance career of any kind. It doesn't matter whether it's pop, country, musical theater, opera. I don't care what genre you're in. These things are important. And every successful artist knows this and makes it a priority, because it's part of being a business person. And you've got to be business minded when you think about it. And so when you are successful in business, you put the priorities in order for yourself. Okay, so number one, we're going to you need to figure out what is most important to you. That's really basic. What is most important to you? What do you love to do the most? And what is your passion? And that's where you're going to start. So once you figure out what is most important to you, then you're going to go into creating an action plan for that. Because you can dream about it all you want to. You can think about it all you want to, but until you start applying it and put it into action, it's just a thought process. And that is all that it is. It's just a dream that's out there that you may or may not reach unless you're willing to sit down and put an action plan to it. This podcast that I'm doing right now, I put an action plan to it. My husband and I sat down this morning and planned out some things, and we're going to put an action plan to that on how to really reach those particular goals that we have, because we've got dreams and goals for ourselves. And so we're going to put that action plan together to reach that. And we're working on doing that. I've got another plan for my studio, because I've got a bigger vision than just having lessons in my studio. So we've started down that action plan. This past week, we started a new class called Energize Sing. And it's spelled ENERGI-sing, SING. And we're putting exercise that is specific to make sure that it helps the singer learn how to use certain muscles in their body and have body awareness. And we do those exercises, and then we apply it into our singing, our performance. And this past week's class, yesterday's class, went off very well, and we saw the results of how that is going to work. So, and I'll be putting that out there, just a little video about that out there from yesterday's class, because it was very effective. But I put an action plan together. I talked to the personal trainer, Sky Smith, that I work with, and Sky put the exercise part together because she's a singer herself and studied with me for a long time. And we worked together, and we came out with this situation, and it really is effective and worked. So that was an action plan that we sat down and thought out, how are we going to put this into action? So with everything, you've got to start with your action plan. Now, how do we do that? How do we create that action plan? First, you're going to write down your steps. You're going to write down the steps. You're going to think every single idea that you have that you want to see go into action. And then you're going to put them in order of how that needs to work in order to make sure your steps are good and they're going to be solid. Like, you're not going to put, step 15, make $1,500 before you put step 1, create the idea. Put down the things that you're going to need for that idea. Step 2, do you have a budget on how to purchase the things that you're going to need? Step 3, like that. So you need to make sure that you put a prioritized list of where you start to where you're going to finish. And that's the first thing. You must put your thoughts down in writing. It's only a thought until you start writing it out. And then it sort of makes it like a to-do list, and you look at it as, oh, these are the ways, these are the actions that I am going to do in order to do that. And then you start saying, okay, this is where I'm going to put this on the calendar to do. Because I have students come in the studio and they say, well, I need to, I really have got to practice this. And our question is, okay, when are you want to start doing that? What's your plan? What day and what time are you going to do that? And then we make them actually think about it, not just talk about it. We make them actually think about it and then put it in their calendar at that time. And that's how we start getting people to think. Don't just think I need to or I'm going to. You can say I'm going to all you want to, but in that moment, if you don't, put it down and make an appointment with yourself and you are going to do that, then it really is just a thought. So you've got to make sure that you're putting that down in writing. Number 2, so if you are underage, you must communicate to your parents your priorities. They have different priorities than you. And it all has to be on the family calendar. When you're going to practice, what you're going to practice, what you need from them in order to practice. Because sometimes as parents, we expect our children just to jump when we say so. But parents, if you've got a child that is a teenager, not 18 yet, and that person is trying to reach a certain goal, then you're going to help them by putting that practice time on the family schedule and then not tossing it aside just because some great family opportunity came up or you want to go away for the weekend. You've got to think about that. Can the child practice while you're away for the weekend? But find a way to negotiate that so your child understands that you are not going to distract them nor interrupt them from their own life path. I hear too many times in the studio, well, my mom and dad wanted me to go do this, so I've got to go do this now. And I understand because they can't be left behind. But are you helping them find a way of doing their work towards their career and their goals and their time while they're doing the things that you want to do? My children, when they were teenagers, they went to Disney World with their dad. And you know what? My daughter Rachel, she took her cello. And she simply said, we're going to have to take a break during the day from the park, rest, because I've got to practice my cello. And so they did. They took a 2-hour rest break from the park, especially in the hottest part of the day. They came into the hotel. She practiced. They rested. They got rejuvenated. Then they went back out to the park again. She did not miss her practice for a family trip. And you've got to think about that. Because tossing practice aside is not the way to do. You've got to realize that your child is like an Olympian. And if they were an actual Olympic athlete, you would plan your stuff around that. Because they can't make that goal if you're saying, no, you know what? Sorry, coach, but we're going to take our ice skater away for 3 weeks because we want to go to the beach. It is okay to go to the beach, but it's not okay to just go, we're going to skip those 3 weeks because your child will never make the U.S. ice skating team doing that. They've got to continue on and on and on and on. And you've got to back them up in that and learn to prioritize things and help them learn that you think their things are priority. It is not going to magically happen. Your child, even though talented, is not suddenly going to get a show or suddenly be hired or suddenly get into that college without you encouraging them and helping them and being the support behind the goal. So first, singer, you need to go to your parents. And parents, you need to listen to what the child is saying. That is really important that you two work together because you need to be a team in order to help them reach that ultimate goal, whatever it may be. All right, next. If singing is your goal, it must include dance and acting. It's got to. And I'm not talking about just for Broadway or just for opera. I mean, you've got to learn to entertain. You've got to learn to get up there on that stage and be able to do something. And so many of these singers today dance and do all kinds of things. So you need to know how to do these things. And so there is going to be an investment on your part. What if you make your own money, invest that. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, support that talented child. Help them pay for these things. Some of the things, I was very poor growing up. And if it hadn't been for the kindness of people in my church and other people in my life, I would not have been able to do some of the things that I wanted and needed to do. And even then, I still didn't have enough money or support. So please help your person and back them up in the things that they need, these lessons, this dancing and this acting. Please back them up. And you know, let me just back up for a second. It is not okay to say to a great coach, a great vocal coach, a great dance teacher, a great acting coach, it's not okay to say, oh, you're expensive. You know what? We're great at what we do. And if you want great, you're going to have to actually pay for great. It's the difference from buying a Walmart pocketbook and a Louis Vuitton. You don't go into Louis Vuitton and go, oh my gosh, you're so expensive. You expect them to be. So, you know, I get that all the time. And here's the thing. No, I'm not. In comparison to a lot of teachers, I am not. I am not expensive at all. So if you think I am expensive, you need to do your research because I'm not. I'm actually fairly inexpensive, if not completely inexpensive. Most of my colleagues think I am way underpaid. So, you know, you need to think about that before opening your mouth and saying it. Because of the fact that it's insulting and it makes it even harder for the person that you want to bring to them to be accepted by them because you're going around saying that they're way too expensive. Why would we want to work with your family if you think we're way too expensive and you're not valuing what we have to give to your student? And that's something I just needed to put that out there so that you understand that in this market for what you're wanting, you know, you don't think great Olympic coaches are inexpensive, do you? No. they're going to cost because they're spending tons of time training your athlete. And by the way, your singer child is a vocal athlete. They have to learn to use muscles and do things that is like being a vocal gymnast. So if you want to help them reach that goal, then you need to understand that you're going to have to invest in the training for that. And that does take your support, not your complaints. So let's open our minds a little and think about that in that direction, because I promise you, if little JoJo, whether that be a boy or a girl, if they were playing football or baseball or cheer, you guys would totally invest into it and spend for those expensive uniforms and that expensive trip. You would do it. So doing this for your singer child is the exact same thing. Okay, so the next thing is designate a specific time slot for your specific tasks, which means you're going to have to get out your calendar, and you're going to have to, number one, eliminate distractions. You're going to have to turn your priorities around. You've got to turn your priorities around. I did my homework after I did my vocal practice, after I did my instrumental practice, after I went to rehearsals. Then I did my homework. I take tennis lessons, and my tennis coach is very good, and he was in the Junior Davis Cup, and I asked him when he did his homework because he did tennis like 6 hours a day, and I said, well, along with going to school, 6 or 7 hours a day, and I said, when did you do your homework? He said, when I got home from that practice. And then sometimes he got up even before school and had to practice more tennis. So he was up late and up early. And that's the life of it. So if you have to get up early to get your practice in, parents, don't complain that your child is singing before 7 in the morning. Or if they're getting up early to complete their homework, but you've got to turn the schedule upside down. You got to think that football practice, tennis practice, baseball practice all happens after school. So before they even get to do their homework and get to do those assignments, they've already gone through an entire practice. And you've got to make sure that your child does the exact same thing. That singer child needs the time to be able to do it. So you sit down in the calendar and you eliminate distractions. You don't watch Netflix before you practice. You don't go to movies or get on the phone with your friends before you practice. You don't do your homework before you practice. You practice, then you do your homework. That's the way it is. And that's the way it's got to be. If you want to know how to get it a priority and how to work it in, then you're going to have to work it backwards, that from the way that you're normally doing it. Usually everybody thinks, homework then. But sometimes you got to think practice homework. You've got to do it the other way around if you're doing this career. And remember what I just said, you would never fuss at Billy for going to football practice before he did his homework. So please don't fuss at your singer child for practicing before they do their homework. That's just something you need to think about. All distractions need to be eliminated. All distractions. So you turn your phone on silent. You don't have your screens up unless you're looking at your music. You're going down your list of notes that you've taken during your practice, or if you've recorded your practice audio or video, you're looking back at that. You've already looked at it. You've made the notes on what you need to work on, and then you start working on those things. If a friend calls, you call them back later. You hit the part on the phone that says, sorry, I can't talk right now. You don't do that right now. You do that after the fact. At the end of the week, when you've done all this work that you've put on your schedule and you've completed your homework and you've completed all your practice, that is when you go reward yourself with Netflix, reward yourself by hanging out with friends, reward yourself going to a movie, whatever reward you want to give yourself, but that's how you do that. But during the week, you get your work done. You work on the goal, and the reward is you get to do these things then. But you don't put your distraction, you don't make that a priority. You know, you're not a dog. Just because somebody calls and says jump, it doesn't mean you have to. It means that you need to communicate your needs and what you are doing and what goals you're trying to achieve, and then say, but you know what? Let me look at my schedule and I can do that here. That's how you do that. And you know, I understand that it's hard because all of us want to people please. All of us want people to like us. But the fact is if do we want to sacrifice what our dreams and our goals are because we want somebody to like us more? I don't think so. Because in 10, 15 years, are they still even going to be there? You don't know. So don't sacrifice something for the moment. I mean, your goals and your dreams for the moment. Don't sacrifice your goals and dreams for something temporary in the moment. That's an important thought. Okay. Now, teach your family and friends how to treat you and what your needs are. Teach them what you need and how they need to treat you for that. That doesn't mean to go in and be ugly or to be disrespectful. It's just that you will get treated the way you teach someone to treat you. So if you teach them to distract you, that's what they're going to do. Also, your parents and your grandparents and the people that are investing and helping to pay for your lessons and what all, they need to hear that you're really investing in yourself and that you're really taking those lessons seriously. So actually seeing you practice is going to help you get more support in your life, not less. Keep that in your mind, okay? The longer you put off the work towards your goal, the longer it's going to take you to reach your goal. I'm going to say that one more time. The longer you put off practicing and doing the work towards your dream and goal, the longer it's going to take for you to reach that goal. So, in other words, if you are distracted and you get 2 weeks behind, then it's going to cost you 2 more weeks to reach that goal because you can't make up that time. You can't make up that learning. So do it now. Don't wait. Keep the priority. Keep your schedule. Show up for yourself. The appointments you make in your schedule, you need to keep. Don't stand people up. That's not okay, especially yourself. You don't stand yourself up. You make a date with yourself, you show up for you. You commit and you show up and you do the work whether you want to or not. Whether you want to or not. This isn't about you feeling like it. This is about doing it anyway, because once you get into it, you'll feel like it and you'll feel better about yourself and it'll build your confidence. So make sure you're doing that work. Okay? Now, here's our last thing. Take every single opportunity to learn more about singing and performing. Take every opportunity that you can get. In other words, if we offer Energize Sing for you, and you have been told you're a low energy person or not, it doesn't matter. If we're offering and putting together this opportunity for you to come together and learn, and we're doing it at a very low cost, by the way, then you need to show up and do that work, because that's going to help train you further and you're going to get more experience. I've told all of my students the only difference between me and you as a student is experience. So the only way to gain experience is to do. So we must get that experience. When we offer workshop, we've got workshop coming up at the end of October, which is Halloween weekend, the 28th, 29th, and 30th of October. You need to show up. Our guest artist, Eugene Brancobiano, is traveling all the way from San Francisco. That means he's flying in 3,000 miles to come and work with you. You need to make sure you take a hold of that opportunity and show up for it. Be there, learn, grow. Be there and get that experience. Gain more ground. Don't just blow it off. Oh, I think I might have something. Oh, no. There is nothing more important to you, the singer, right now than that workshop. There is nothing more important than that. I understand some circumstances, but you got to realize that it takes a lot for those opportunities to come up. And when you have them, you need to grab them so you can learn and grow. And yeah, you're going to be nervous. And yes, you're going to be afraid. Face it anyway. Get up there, move and grow, because those situations are what helps you get those college scholarships and those college acceptances and that career. So make sure you show up and do that. He will offer private lessons while he's here. So think about it. You get to work with me in a private lesson, your regular lesson, and then you get extra time with somebody that is on the stage practically every single day. So you want to make sure you grab a hold of those opportunities and you take them. Never, ever turn down an opportunity that you can have to help you grow. Learn not to be wishy-washy about it. Well, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. No. Yes or no. Make your yes, yes, and your no a firm no. You either can or you can't. Wishy-washy, no. That's not going to go. You've got to make your decision, and you've got to make it solid. All right, guys. I know this was a tough one because I was out to kick some butt today. So make sure that you learn to apply. You can find me on Instagram at Naked Singer Blog. If you've got questions, you can DM me there. You can find me on TikTok at The Naked Singer. There's a Facebook page at Naked Singer Blog. You can find me on LinkedIn at The Naked Singer. Remember, we've got Energize Sing. You just heard about the workshop that's coming up. Make sure you plan to be there. We would love whoever wants to come to participate. It's going to be so much fun. So you can DM me about all of those things. And I would love to hear from you more. Let's discuss what priorities are. All right, that's it. As always, I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer.